Welcome to day 3 of Scraptember. Day 3 is mixed media. So I decided to get a stencil and some paste out. And what you saw is my very first paste, which is one of the pastes I used to love all the time, is dry because I have not used it in a long time and because I did not seal it with any press and seal. So I don't use a lot of paste. It's not necessarily one of the things I gravitate towards. So my paste doesn't last that well. But I will say what I have found is this lunar paste, Simon Hurley lunar paste that you can get at my little scrapbook store, lasts very well. And it's very bright and very vibrant. So if you're looking for something and you're like me where you may not use it that often, I highly recommend this lunar paste. So I'm using an old Vicki Boutin stencil and I am going over a close to my heart grid paper and just creating what you'll see is 3 locations of this stencil. So basically what I'm going to do is put this gold through the stencil and do it in 3 different places. One right here kind of in the third of the paper, and then I'll do one to the lower right and one to the upper left. That's the base of my mixed media. You might see some people on Scraptember doing a lot more mixed media, but this is about as mixed media as I get. It's okay to admit that it's not your jam. Not every part of scrapbooking is everybody's jam. And I really like how this page turned out, but it's not something that I choose to do a lot. The reason I don't choose to do it a lot is because I have very limited time to scrapbook. And when I want to scrapbook fast, it's really hard when I'm doing mixed media because obviously the stencil, it takes a long time to dry. So actually I did this and then came back like 3 days later to finish the page because I just didn't have enough time that day to wait for it to dry and to do the page. So that's one of the reasons that it's hard for me to do mixed media. The other one is just the cleanup. You know, you've got to immediately go clean up, and I'm a quick scrapbooker, so things that make me pause, like, okay, I got to stop and clean the stencils and clean the brushes and clean the spatula. Those kinds of things are just not fun for me. And in my world, scrapbooking should be fun and should be a release and something you do because it brings you joy. So those are not necessarily things that bring me joy. But that's okay because not everybody is the same. Now, for some people, the artistic part of the mixed media is what they live for. They do a lot of journaling. They do a lot of mixed media art journals and those kinds of things. And for those people, this is the part of the process that they absolutely love. So you need to decide which part of the process you like and kind of lean into that. But here is the base of my mixed media page. You're seeing me kind of finish that off. I'm going to clean up my stencil and clean up my spatula, and then I'm going to come back and show you how I'm going to finish the page. I'll be right back. So I used the lunar paste and was able to go through the Vicki Boutin stencil, and I created this mixed media background. I was thinking about doing a few flowers from this sunflower stencil in brown, so let's see how those turn out. I'm going to use my Scraptember and just a regular sponge dauber. So the idea here is I'm just going to use the sunflower part of the stencil, and just instead of using the full stencil, I'm just basically creating a few sunflowers here and there just to kind of add a little bit more dimension to this paper. Do that with your stencils. You can just choose to use a little bit of them or a lot of them. The idea is just to create a few bits and pieces around the page. So I'm mixing mixing a paste with some ink, and I'm mixing 2 different stencils. So you can do that at any time. It doesn't have to be all from the same collection. It doesn't have to be the same material, but mixed media can be however you want it to be. So I think that's good for now. I'm going to leave this out just in case I see I want to do some more. But now we'll go ahead and build the page on this. And I'll put you on fast forward and we'll see what we come up with. So we are on fast forward, and basically I pulled out a few 49 and Market collections. Seen me do this a couple times. I really enjoy mixing these up. I think some of this is Wherever, some of this is the um, yellow, the ochre collection. And I am just putting these together and layering them up so that I have just some bits and pieces of yellows and blues and brown and some orange, just to kind of go around the page. These are easily some of my favorite kind of just bits and pieces. So I didn't want to use a full collection. I'm just picking some things out. I know because I've got the gold and the brown, I want to, kind of have that. But then I also wanted to pull in that blue, mainly because I thought they go well together. You'll see I'm picking just some phrases and some um, background pieces, a few word phrases. That's it. So that's all I'm pulling together. So I've got all of those out and I am putting those around my page. And you just kind of missed me kind of pulling a few more things out. I actually had a call, so I had to cut out some of that. Sorry. Um, but pulling out a few more pieces, bits and pieces, and making the page come together, I end up with mainly a blue frame up at the top and then some yellow and brown with those blue florals. I have one film strip that I just pulled and put in there. I didn't end up doing any more stamping on the page or stenciling on the page. I didn't think it needed it. Put most of the stuff down with my wet glue. I did pop up this butterfly just 'cause I thought that would be fun. I hope you're enjoying Scraptember. This is an interesting way. This is my second year doing it, and I like to try to do all of them. I think it's an interesting way to try to get different things done, so different parts of your collection and kind of using pieces that you might not have done. So in other words, mixed media is not something I do a lot, so this kind of forces me to use mixed media. There's been some other prompts, mixing old and new, I think is coming up or has already happened. And then there's hoarding is one. So just some really fun ways to use different parts of your collection. So I really enjoy thinking outside the box like this, and I think that's what that's what the Scrappy Sisters have kind of asked us to do. So I am making my collage, and if you've watched a few of my videos, this is something that I like to do. I just layer things up, put them together, and figure out kind of where I want them. I struggled with that blue frame because I didn't leave as much of the brown showing as I did when I originally laid it out, but that's okay. So now I am going to put down this on top of the mixed media, which kind of has another background. And you're seeing basically I made layers. I made layers with the mixed media. It kind of flows from down the diagonal from left to right. And the sunflowers are just kind of there in brown to add a little bit more depth to the page. And I'm adding a few hearts, a few pieces of chipboard, just kind of making it work. This is something that I do a lot, which is just kind of mess around. So the title I really wanted to come from this 49 Market rub-on. And what you're going to watch happen is I drop the secondary title somewhere, and quite frankly, I still haven't found it. So it's in my scrapbook room somewhere. I'm sure it's on a piece of paper or attached to a piece of paper. But now the title is Just Loved, and the secondary title, which is Radiate Joy, or You Radiate Joy, does not show up because I honestly just don't know where it went. It fell on the floor as I was doing it, right there. Oh, it's still there. Oh, it's still there then. Nope, don't know where it goes. Well, there's me looking for it. Maybe I don't realize it's right. Nope, that was a blank piece of paper. So it fell on the floor. I don't know where it went. It happens to all of us, right? You're going to find it later. I've had that happen to me so many times where there was a piece of scrapbooking or scrapbooking supply that I really wanted, and then I fell on the floor, and then a couple of months later, I end up finding it. So I'm going to rub on this title of Loved, and then rub on the Make Some Magic on the bottom. And I believe the last thing I'm going to do after I get these two things rubbed on is to add a few enamel dots, and that's just going to finish out the page. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. It's a little bit different for me. It's not something I do all the time. Most of my pages are a little bit cleaner, a little bit less messy, but this was fun. It was fun for me to get that paste out. I forgot how much I liked the lunar paste. That was a lot of fun, and it gave me an excuse to combine some of my 49 and Market collections that I haven't played with in a while. Now, I will say rubbing the rub-on my silicone mat kind of did not give enough tension. So I wish I had tried to rub it on my glass mat, because I have the page on my silicone mat and it just didn't give enough pressure on a couple of those little pieces. And normally 49 Market rub-ons go off like butter, so it's kind of weird. Okay, you're about to see a close-up. Thanks for joining me. I will see you tomorrow for another Scraptember. Have a great one, guys. Bye.